Hello. Looks like we're live and I've got a green light, so hopefully you can hear me. If you're just joining live, we'll be starting in about 10 minutes. If you're watching the recording, we'll also be starting in about 10 minutes. So you can fast forward if you're watching the replay, and we'll start in 10 minutes. I'm Tonya, and this is the Comeback Yoga Level 2 class. And before we get started, I just have a little reading for you today, just to kind of as a prompt to begin our practice. And you can get comfortable and listen. You might be lying down, or you could certainly just go on with your chores, maybe get your coffee or tea made, and join me back in 10 minutes. I'm reading from a book called A Path with Heart, and it's by Jack Kornfield. Healing the mind. Just as we heal our body and heart with awareness, so can we heal our mind. Just as we learn about the nature and rhythm of sensations and feelings, so can we learn about the nature of thought. As we notice our thoughts in meditation, we discover that they are not in our control. We swim in an uninvited, constant stream of memories, plans, expectations, judgments, and even regrets. Our mind begins to show how it contains all possibilities, often in conflict with one another, the beautiful qualities of a saint and the dark forces of a dictator. Out of these, our mind plans and imagines, creating endless struggles and scenarios for changing the world. Yet, the very root of these movements of mind is dissatisfaction. We seem to want both endless excitement and perfect peace. Instead of being served by our thinking, we are driven by it in many unconscious and unexamined ways. While thoughts can be enormously useful and creative, most often they dominate our experience with ideas of likes versus dislikes, higher versus lower, self versus other. They tell stories about our successes and failures, plan our security, habitually remind us of who and what we think we are. This dualistic nature of our thoughts is a root of our suffering. Whenever we think of ourselves as separate, fear and attachment arise, and we grow constricted, defensive, ambitious, or territorial. To protect the separate self, we push certain things away, while to bolster it, we hold on to other things and we identify with them. A psychiatrist from the Stanford University School of Medicine discovered these truths when he attended his first 10-day intensive retreat. While he had studied psychoanalysis and had been in therapy, he had never actually encountered his own mind in the nonstop fashion of 15 hours a day of sitting and walking meditation. He later wrote an article on this experience in which he described how a professor of psychiatry felt sitting and watching himself go crazy. The nonstop flood of thought astounded him, as did the wild variety of stories it told. Especially repetitious were thoughts of self-aggrandizement, of becoming a great teacher or famous writer, or even a world savior. He knew enough to look at the source of these thoughts, and he discovered that they were all rooted in his fear. During the retreat, he was feeling insecure about himself and what he knew. These grand thoughts were the mind's compensation so he would not have to feel the fear of not knowing. Over the many years since, this professor has become a very skillful meditator, but he first had to make peace with his busy and fearful patterns of his untrained mind. He has also learned since that time not to take his own thoughts too seriously. Healing our mind takes place in two ways. First, we bring attention to the content of our thoughts and learn to redirect them more skillfully through practices of reflection. Through mindfulness, we can come to know and reduce the patterns of unhelpful worry and obsession. We can clarify our confusion and release our destructive views and opinions. We can use conscious thought to reflect more deeply on what we value, asking the question, do I love well? In the first chapter, he talks about this. And we can also direct our thoughts into the skillful avenues of loving kindness, respect, and ease of mind. Many practices use the repetition of certain phrases in order to break through old, destructively repetitious patterns of thought in order to effect change. However, even though we work to re-educate our mind, we can never be completely successful. Our mind seems to have a will of its own, no matter how much we wish to direct it. So, for a deeper healing of the conflicts of our mind, we learn to let go of our identification with them. To heal, we must learn to step back from all of the stories of our mind, for the conflicts and opinions of our thoughts never end. As the Buddha said, people with opinions just go around bothering one another. When we see that our mind's very nature is to think, divide, to plan, we can release ourselves from the iron grip of separatism and come to rest within our body and heart. In this way, we step out of our identification, out of our expectations, opinions, and judgments, and the conflicts to which they give rise. Our mind thinks of ourselves as separate, but our heart knows better. As one great master put it, our mind creates the abyss, and the heart crosses it. So, in meditation, we can reconnect with our heart and discover an inner sense of spaciousness, compassion underneath all of our conflicts of thought. Our heart allows for the stories and ideas, the fantasies and fears of our mind without believing in them, without having to follow them or fulfill them. When we touch beneath the busyness of thought, we discover a sweet, healing silence, an inherent peacefulness in each of us, a goodness of heart, strength, and wholeness that is our birthright. When we return to our original nature, when we see all the ways of our mind and yet rest in this peace and goodness, we discover the healing of our mind. So there's food for thought for today's practice. So, reading from the book called A Path with Heart by Jack Kornfield. So, if you'd just like to sit comfortably, if you were here for that whole reading, and just kind of drop into your heart without analyzing what was said, just drop into not only maybe even placing your hand on your heart, but feeling the physical heartbeat and dropping into that heart space of compassion, of kindness, and the birthright, as he describes as the ultimate joy, and peace. All right, we're going to go ahead and start our class today. That was just a little reading. I call it the Dharma talk. Just a little reading before class. So if you want to watch the replay, you can just always um, pick it up when this class is done. Um, so I'm Tonya, and this is a Comeback Yoga Level 2 class. Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit organization in Denver, Colorado. And we have in person classes and lots of online classes. The benefit of the online classes is that you can watch it anytime, wherever you are in the world, any time of day or night. If you're restless, can't sleep, or if you're in a different time zone, you can always watch anytime and stop it whenever you want and replay as many times as you want. And so, Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit, and we serve active duty military and veterans and their families. So, why Comeback Yoga? Because Comeback Yoga is supporting, and in these yoga classes, including meditation and breath work, we are particularly fond of, as well as supportive of the military population. So, practices are designed just for you and your family and support. And these classes today will go about 45 or 50 minutes. And this level 2 indicates that maybe you have some prior experience in yoga, but as always, check with your doctor to make sure that you can start a new form of exercise if you're new. If you are not new, I welcome you back. And in all levels, then you will just do what you can. And if you want to make it more difficult for yourself, more challenging, then do so. If you're feeling like it's too much, then step back and maybe sit down, take a break, whatever you need to do. But please, first and foremost, take care of yourself. And while this might be new practice to you, um, try not to emulate what it is I'm doing. This is a body-based practice, so I want you to just really go inward if possible. Certainly, it's a practice, it's a journey. So sometimes it's difficult to go into sensing what's going on in our body. So that's our invitation today, is to just explore whatever sensations are arising in your body and to take care and to acknowledge what it is. All right. Um, what else do I want to say? Um, you won't need any props today. I'm using a yoga mat. You can have a yoga mat or an exercise mat. And I do have a couple of yoga blocks here, but you don't have to have those for today. We won't be doing any balancing poses per se, but we will be doing some standing poses. So we'll start with a warm up, a seated warm up, and then a little bit on the mat, and then to standing to work some big muscle groups, and then back down to some seated stretching, and then final relaxation. I know it's a 45, 50-minute class. It goes by fast, I think. Um, so if you're needing more at the end of the session, then pick up another class or replay this one. So I welcome you all. Let's go ahead and get started. So you can just find a comfortable seat, maybe on a cushion or a chair or whatever is most suitable for you. And you can have your eyes closed or open, whatever it is you like. And just maybe placing a hand on your body, maybe another hand on another part of your body. Sometimes even having a hand under the armpit can be just a really nice way to drop in, dropping into your body. So just noticing any sensations you might be noticing in your body. Maybe what about your feet? your legs, your torso, your shoulders, your neck, your hands, your arms, your neck, your head, your ears, your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. And now noticing your breath, breathing in as completely as possible with ease through whatever nose or mouth is more comfortable for you, and out through that same. Feeling how your torso, maybe your clothing moves with your breath. Feeling not only the width of your body, but feeling the height or the length if you're lying down. As your breath comes in, feel yourself getting longer, taller, more open. And as you breathe out, keep that length and maybe feel a slight rest coming in after the exhale. The inhale we can think of as more elevating of our energy. As we breathe in, we're breathing in essential oxygen, feeling the width of our lungs as we breathe in, the front, the sides, and the back. And as we breathe out, feeling maybe a slight narrowing of those ribs, front, sides, and back. And take just a few more rounds of breath, feeling the fullest potential of your breath without strain, and that ease that comes in and the ease that leaves. Discharging waste gas that's also essential for life, for plant life. So there's really no separation. Just 2 more breaths. And at the end of the last, you can release your hands if they were on your body and just start to move your fingers. And then circle your wrists. And circle the other way. And then bring your hands to your shoulders. Bring your elbows forward, up, sides, and back. Just taking nice, slow, smooth rotations. Noticing any hitches or pain. And just kind of going slowly so that if there is a place of discomfort, maybe pause there and take a breath. And then let that breath move your arms. And let's go the other direction if you're ready. And then bringing your arms about shoulder height. Maybe your hands still resting on your shoulders if that doesn't cause any pain. With your next inhale, get a little taller. And then exhale, side bend, leading with the top elbow, leading it up towards the ceiling. And come back to center. Find your feet, find your sit bones, reaching the other elbow up. And let's do one more on each side. Noticing your breath. And last one. And coming back through center, taking those elbows forward, rounding your spine, maybe keeping your hands on your neck or your shoulders. Inhaling, opening your elbows, lifting your gaze, exhaling and bringing your elbows forward. Inhaling, arms go wide, looking up, and exhaling, elbows forward. One more time. Good. Taking your arms across to either grab your elbows, biceps, or shoulders. And then pressing your elbows down, maybe slightly rounding, tucking your chin. And lift up, opening your arms, and then changing the cross of your elbows or forearms or triceps. And then rising on up. All right, so we got the upper body warm. So now we're going to come onto our back for a little lower body warm up. So if you're not already on your back, go ahead and come down onto your back. And just feeling the length of your body here. Your knees can be bent or straight for starters. All right. Draw one knee into your chest and you can hold on to the back of your leg here. Maybe your bottom leg goes straight or you can keep it bent like I am. Now straighten your leg up to the ceiling and rotate your ankle. Rotate the other way. And then taking your same leg across the torso to the opposite wall. Maybe stopping just where your knee is if your knee is bent. And come back through center, holding onto your leg and taking it out to the side. And coming back through center and lowering that foot or leg down to the floor and pause, noticing side to side. Draw your other knee toward your chest, holding on to your shin or the back of your leg. And then straightening your leg towards the ceiling and circling your ankle. And then bringing your leg across. And then out to the side. And bringing it back through center. Lower your foot down, bend both knees, let the knees fall together. Maybe your feet are resting about sitting bones or mat width. And just taking a couple of breaths here. Now bringing your feet as wide as your mat, maybe a little narrower and kind of close up to your bottom. Take your arms out to the sides and start to move your legs side to side. They don't have to come down to the floor. You're just kind of working in the hip socket here. So just kind of moving to a range of motion that feels pretty good in your body. Certainly, when we're first getting warmed up, though, there may be some cricks and creaks and, some popping and snapping, but that's generally not a bad sign. But certainly, if you've had injuries or um, areas that are close to injury, then you want to take care. All right. And then walk your feet back together and take one knee over the other. So knees are crisscrossed. And draw your knees in towards your chest, just using the strength of your legs. You can take a little hip hike there to kind of get a little bit more length in your back. Now, take the same arm underneath. So as the top leg, same arm comes underneath. And then either grab opposite shoulders, forearms, or maybe you bring the backs of those hands together. It's a little early for me to do that. And then we're going to lift the elbows and the knees towards one another and then lower your knees. You don't have to bring your toes all the way to the floor, but if you feel like you could do that, then do that. With your next exhale, lift chest, shoulders, head. So knees and elbows touch, and then inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, up. Inhale, down. You can go faster, make it more pulsing if you want. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And lower down, opening out your arms and walking those feet out again. And we'll do some of those windshield wipers again here. Dropping your knees down towards the floor, rolling to the inside and the outside of your feet. And let's go to the other side. So walking those feet in and then taking your other knee on top. And you might choose to just lift the upper body without doing the knees. So if you're ready, so the same arm, that's the leg on top, that arm goes under. And here we go. Up, down, up, down. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Lower down, arms out, feet out. We're going to add some head rotation now. So your legs move to one side and your head goes to the other. Back to center, knees to the side, head to the opposite. Keep going. Side to side. To side. And to side. One more time, each side, side, and side. Good. And then go ahead and straighten out your legs. Press down into the back of your hands and your arms. Press down into your heels slightly. As you press down, you might notice part of your body lifting. And then release. Let's do that again. Press your arms or hands down, maybe shoulders, and press your heels down. And then release. One more time. Press down and release. Good. Just stay here for a moment or two. All right. And roll to one side. I'm going to face the screen, so that might be the best place for you to turn to as well. And your bottom knee can be bent or it can be straight for more stability. You can use your top arm for stability here and lift the top leg, maybe just a little higher than your hip. And we'll hold here for 3, pushing down into your bottom foot, 2, and 1. Good. Bend that top knee, lift your knee up towards the ceiling, and then lower your foot maybe down behind you, or maybe it comes onto the inner thigh, like so. And you can bring the knee forward and back, just kind of a little movement there in your hip. Good. And then bring your knee out in front of you and grab your ankle. And bring your knee back for a quad stretch. All right. And bring that knee back. Maybe stacking the knees here like I am, or straightening the legs. And we'll do that on the other side. I'm going to press up so I can still face the screen, and you're welcome to do the same. Coming up slowly so that you don't get dizzy like I often do. Coming down onto that other side. Stacking those legs and hips and shoulders. And then lifting your top leg. If the side might go higher or not, but press down into that bottom foot. Start to feel even your waistline engage. Good. And then bring that knee up, maybe foot onto the thigh, maybe onto the lower leg, or maybe the foot comes behind you. And we'll take a couple breaths here. And then knee forward and just kind of rocking that knee forward and back. Good. And then rolling onto your stomach. And resting your head on your hands here, pressing into the tops of the feet. And when you do that, you might notice, if you could press your hips down into the floor as well, that you start to feel strength come in your body. From this position of strength, we'll engage the upper back and lift your head with your hands. So elbows lift and exhale, lower down. Good. And then just try to relax everything. Just keep relaxing. A little more and yet a little more. So feeling that contrast. Let's go again. Engage your body. Engage the muscles. Press your hips down. Head lifts with the hands and elbows. Feel your breath coming in. Don't hold it. And then release down. Keep releasing, keep releasing, keep releasing, keep releasing. Release a little more. And a little more. Last release. Nice work. All right. Let's press up to a tabletop position. So hands coming under the shoulders. You could also be in the plank instead if you would rather, or your knees stay down. So those are a couple of variations. And then we'll lift our hips up and back for downward dog. First downward dog of the day. Maybe your dog likes to walk. Maybe your dog stays still.
So, inviting some length in your legs, inviting some extension through the arms, inviting a longer breath into your torso, feeling how your body lengthens as well as strengthens in this upside down pose. If you feel dizzy here, you can keep your gaze forward. All right. Lift your leg up. So the leg closest to the screen. Go ahead and lift it up towards the ceiling. And maybe look forward to where you're going to bring that leg. Step it forward to a lunge. That's it. And maybe wiggle your back leg a little longer. Get a little longer in your torso, a little longer in your legs. And as you push down into your front leg, feel the surface beneath you. Take your arm closest to that leg and reach forward and then open up towards the ceiling. So now your torso is facing your front leg. That's it. Really expand through the fingertips. That's it. And then release your hand down. Slide your back foot in just a foot or so. Press down and rise up to warrior one. Bringing your arms up overhead. Really extend long through those arms. Take 2 more breaths here. Good. And then bringing your front arm, so the arm that's closest to the screen, bring it under and grab opposite shoulders or elbows. Now straighten your front leg. Get really long in your legs. And on your exhale, just start to tip forward. You might even round a little. Keep coming forward. I know this is a challenge here. Good. And then unwind those arms, plant your hands down, and step back. Downward facing dog. All right. Lifting your other leg, so the leg that's furthest away from me, from the screen. Lift that leg up as you extend long. Now look forward where you're going to bring your foot and step that foot forward. Good job. Keep looking forward and lengthen here. Get strong in your legs. And then your back arm's going to reach forward and sweep it up overhead to a twist. So now you're looking away from the screen at the wall in front of you, the side of you, maybe even up at your hand. Feeling your feet as you anchor down to the earth. And bring your hand down. Slide your back foot in a foot or so the heel comes down. You can press up into your warrior one. Arms lift as you inhale and exhale. Maybe find a little deeper bend in the front leg. Notice if there's any tension or strain there, I should say. So certainly there will be maybe some strain in the body, but we also look for a place where we can find ease in our body. Good. Now bring your back arm under and then the top arm. So you're grabbing opposite shoulders or elbows. And then straighten your front leg. Now you know kind of where we're going. So as you press your elbows down, start to come forward into a pyramid pose. Take your time. There's no rush. And release your hands down. Stepping back to downward dog again. Maybe you're finding some more length in your body, some more extension, some more lift. With your next inhale, come forward into a plank pose. You could also come to tabletop. Now place one knee down to the floor and turn. Coming into a side plank variation. Option is to straighten that bottom leg and coming into full side plank. So those are two variations. There's lots more variations. But for today, I'll just show you the two. And then slowly coming into a plank pose, lowering your other knee down, turning, and maybe straightening. And maybe bringing that knee back down and coming back into plank. Wide through your fingers, through your foundation. If you have pain in your wrists, come down to the forearms. And we'll hold this for 3 more breaths. Good. And knees down or not, lowering yourself down all the way down to the floor. And again, resting your head on the back of those hands. Finding ease. And now let's engage the muscles consciously and start to lift. Your legs might lift this time. Your head and hands pressing together, your elbows lifting, legs lifting. Exhale, releasing slowly down with ease and continuing to find that ease, continuing to ease and a little more ease. Pressing back up to either plank, tabletop. You could also be in your forearms. So we have a side plank variation today, kind of a fun one. Hopefully you like it. So take your knee down to the floor, doesn't matter which one, and then turn. So the bottom foot or the top foot comes down to the floor. Now, you're going to take this foot behind you, the straight leg foot behind you, and that might be just kind of a variation there. The next step, the next variation, the bottom leg is going to go straight, and then the top leg goes behind, like so, just like we did earlier. So pushing down into your feet, top arm up overhead. Great. And then slowly helps to bring the shoulder behind the wrist so you don't strain the wrist, and then come back to the other side. Let's do it. If you're with me, you could also do this from the forearms. Otherwise, join me. So knee, turn, and again, maybe that foot comes behind. This little variation there, or straightening the legs. And then bringing your foot behind, pushing down, getting your shoulder behind that wrist so you're not straining the wrist or the shoulder. Press into your fingers and take it down. Good. Downward facing dog. And coming to your knees for child's pose. Take one arm under, that will thread the needle. So underneath, dropping your hips back towards the heels. Your head might rest on your hand or the floor. And that extended hand, go ahead and roll that wrist around. And then coming up. We'll take a tricep stretch here. So bend your elbows, clasp your hands, and start to walk your elbows forward, getting length on your sides. And maybe your head comes between your arms, and your hands behind your head. And release that. We'll take our other arm under, threading the needle in child's. If at any point the knees bother you or the ankles bother you, then elevate your hips with a blanket or a pillow. And then circling that underarm. The wrist, I mean, of the underarm. Oh, I hope you know what I meant. Okay. All right. And then coming back into that child's pose with a tricep stretch. Change the clasp of your hands. So take your other thumb on top. That's usually the uncomfortable side. Head comes down, and maybe hands come behind the head or to the back of your neck. And slowly come up as you roll yourself up. And take your legs forward. We'll start with one leg forward and the other knee can be bent out to the side. If this bothers your knee, maybe don't go quite as deep of a bend. You could also support your knee with a pillow. Taking your back arm across to the knee, and then bringing your other arm up overhead for a side bend. Kind of a twist here too. So you're turning towards your knee if that feels okay. And just like we did our side bend earlier, want to think about still anchoring your hips down so we don't overstretch the side there. And then inhale, come up and release. Now bring your leg forward a little bit more so you're closing the gap between your legs, if that's okay, on the knee. Bend your knee a little bit here of that straight leg. Lift your arms straight up. And on your exhale, reach forward towards your foot. You might have to slide your knee in a little bit to get your foot. And then lengthen your spine. And then come down maybe a little bit more, if that's okay for your body. Working more than into the hamstrings or staying into the stretch in the back. And lifting up and release. Change your legs. First taking a little wider position of the legs. And your back hand comes around. Stretch out through your straight leg heel. And then reach your back arm up over to the side. Inhale, come up. And exhale, take your leg forward a little bit more. Again, check in with this knee here.
Bend your straight leg a little or a lot. Reach up and exhale, fold forward. Concentrate on developing a smoother breath, more ease in your breath. And last one, inhale and come on up. Good. And bringing your legs forward with a little bend in your knees and grab the back of your knees here. Tucking your chin, and as much as your spine rounds, will round down to the floor, holding on to your legs. And once you come down, straighten your legs to the ceiling, maybe grabbing your feet, your ankles, or your calves. And then bringing your hands underneath your back, or you can grab the sides of your mat. Keep your legs strong and maybe touching either the big toes or your knees. And as you push down into the floor with your hands or grab the sides of your mat, you might feel more length and space come in your spine. And then with your exhale, a slow, smooth, and regular exhale, it might take a couple breaths to come down, bringing your legs down to the floor. And you might find that if your low back is lifting, you want to re engage, reignite your core muscles to lower your legs. And with a soft landing, ideally, not always the case, but a soft landing. And we'll take uh, just one little twist here. So bring one knee into your chest and take it over to the side, looking in the opposite direction. And bringing that back to center and taking your other knee in, maybe placing your foot on the opposite leg, and then grabbing your leg with your opposite hand and turning. You don't have to go far to feel it. Maybe you feel it more in your hip. Maybe you feel it more in your thigh or in your outer thigh or in your back. And then come on back to center. Good. Stretch it out. Reach out through your arms and legs. Take a side bend over to one side, upper and lower corners of your mat. And then stretch, walk to the other side, stretching the sides. And coming back to center. And then if there's anything else you need, maybe you need another knees to chest a little forward and back. Otherwise, find a position that you could sustain for about 5 minutes. I'll be sitting up, but I will invite you to just whatever is comfortable for you. You could be laying on your back, you could be sitting up in a chair, you could be on your side. And once you get settled, I invite you to just take note of the surface that you're resting on. What do you notice about its firmness? What do you notice about its texture? What do you notice about the temperature? And is there a way that your body can drop in closer to that surface, even though you might notice that kind of that layer that is between you and the surface. And then once you've kind of identified that, welcome in any sounds coming into your ears. Welcome in any stillness in your eyelids. Welcoming in some spaciousness in your mouth and your jaw. Welcoming in a sense of ease in your shoulders, in your arms, in your hands. Welcoming in a sense of ease in your hips, your back, your front. Welcoming in a sense of ease in your legs. Welcoming in a sense of ease in your ankles and your feet. Welcoming in the breath as it is. Feeling your inhale all the way to the end and your exhale all the way to the beginning. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Welcoming in the smooth quality of your breath in and the smooth quality of your exhale out. And now begin to deepen your breath and begin to find some gentle movements as you once again welcome in the sounds, the surface, anything about the space you're in Just welcome it in. What do you notice about it? And as you feel ready to make some bigger movements, maybe stretch your whole body. Maybe you bring your knees to your chest. Maybe there's some other movement that is nourishing for your body that calls to you right now. There's no right or wrong, just as long as you come up safely. If you were lying down, coming up safely just to not injure your back. And then if you are ready to join me in closing, I welcome you to do so. And we'll bring the hands together in front of the heart as a way to close our practice with this hand gesture of reverence and respect. So, not only to maybe whoever stands in front of us with a greeting, but also those that stands within us, our self that has navigated through life's journeys, ups and downs. And as we embark on this practice and we continue it, we're able to find more resiliency and navigate more effortlessly in through life's challenges and those ups and downs, eventually to find that middle ground of peace that is changing, but maybe we find it to be more present more often. So I bow to each and every one of you with great respect for showing up today, for being who you are, for traveling the life that you have, and for this day forward that you are compassionate and kind to yourself and to each other. Thanks again. Releasing your hands and lifting your gaze. It's been my honor to serve you in today's practice. If you have the means to donate to Comeback Yoga, we have the link below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and please share with anyone that you know that could be benefiting from this. I appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll be back here on Monday at the same time, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So wherever you are in the world, I hope that you can join me. If not, catch the replay. All right. Thanks again to each and every one of you. Appreciate you all.